So let me first, to explain the force majeure action and to explain stopping of redemptions from the fund, let me first give an overview of the structure of the fund. CHYS primarily invests in real estate. That means up to 90% of the fund at any particular time could be in real estate investments, the 10 projects that I just described. Then you have to keep around 10% in cash, and this is money that you are going to use to redeem people as they ask for to redeem their money. Now, this 10% cash is not static. There's sometimes that money is coming in from new investments. There's money coming in from real estate that has been sold, and money is also being paid out. When something like COVID happens, of course, there's a lot of strain. People pulling out money because they need it and because of increased uncertainty. And there's also a reduction in terms of money coming in, whether it's from new investments or whether it is from sold real estate. So immediately the fund will start having a strain on liquidity because there's a lot of pull out of cash from the fund and there's a reduction in inflow into the fund. In such an environment, real estate funds have what you'd call liquidity clauses, things that allow you to manage the liquidity of the fund or pulling out of funds in an environment such as COVID. And it's not just our own fund, such as the Cytonn High Yield Solutions. If you look at various real estate funds funded by individual investors around the globe, they had to suspend redemptions. If I could just give you some names, BlackRock Property Fund, there's another one called SJP Property Fund, AWE Property Trust, Irish Life, Zurich, Canada Life, UK Property Funds, Brazilian Retail Property Fund. So essentially what happens is that you run out of liquidity very quickly. Then now you have to ask yourself, what do I do to preserve the value in this fund? And you have to then suspend redemptions. How is that done? It's done through the governance of the fund. If you look at CHYS, the investors themselves in an AGM have elected a board of investors. These are the people that we go to. Remember, Cytonn Investment Management is merely an investment manager to this standalone company called CHYS. So we have to go to the board of that company, and the board of that company are investors themselves, and we have to ask them, this is now what we recommend. We want you to suspend withdrawals for this period of time. They approve, we send the board resolution, and the suspension happens. That is what people are then reacting to and saying, you are not paying out, but this is a decision by the board itself saying to preserve the value of this investment, and this is a board of investors. To preserve the value of these investments, let us suspend withdrawals until then the liquidity is restored. Now, this is kind of a new thing in this market, because if you go to more developed markets, suspension of withdrawals is an accepted mitigation measure. Once we then suspended withdrawals from CHYS, some investors then went to litigate and went to file liquidation petitions as an attempt to force the fund to pay. But the fund is illiquid. It cannot pay at that particular time. But these litigation, these wind-up petitions, even makes the liquidity worse, because the little money that could be coming in no longer then comes in. I hope that explains the illiquidity and the decision-making towards suspending redemptions from the fund.